Welcome to the CouchScouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the CouchScouts podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cooper. With me are my co-hosts, Matt Rupert.
How you doing?
And Matt Jackson.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, a lot's going on. It's been a crazy week. One of the things people have said about this podcast that they like is that we are authentic. So I'm just going to be authentic for a second and say I'm behind on life. I was grinding tape all weekend trying to get ready for this Volume 1 Rookie Guide release on Friday. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. And I was out of town all last week. And so this is rare for me. Not just rare. I don't think this has ever happened where I actually finished watching tape on our last prospect like 10 minutes before the show started. I was really cramming last minute. So I'm not running on a lot of sleep.
You buzzer beat it, though.
That's right. So you know what? We're here. I might not be at like 100%, but we're rocking with it. It's going to be a good show. We've got a fun one tonight. On this episode of the podcast, we are going to be continuing our Inside the Prospect series. And tonight, we are going to be discussing Bhayshul Tuten, running back out of Virginia Tech. This is the combine darling, right? Or one of, right? Especially at the running back position. I mean, let me just read some of this. So he weighs in at 5'9", 206 pounds, which is okay. I mean, it's a little on the small side, but it's workable. But he ran a 4.32 40-yard dash, by far the best running back time, 40.5-inch vertical jump, and a 10-foot, 10-inch, so almost 11-foot broad jump. So he's explosive, he's fast, and I think a lot of people that didn't really know a lot about him were like, okay, who is this guy? I need to find out more about this guy, including us, because we hadn't studied him yet. And so we were like, look, we got to move the podcaster schedule around. We got to get him on this week because everybody wants to know about this guy. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about Bhayshul Tuten.
I feel like you're burying the lead a little bit, Cooper. He ran a faster 40 than our guy Isaiah Bond.
He did. He did. Well, you know what? Me and Skip Newton, I'll give a shameless plug for our new Couch GM podcast. Me and Skip Newton are going to be doing a full combine reaction show. We're going to record it Wednesday night. It'll be live for you guys Friday morning. So you'll get to hear all the combine thoughts. Tune in for that show. Tonight, we're talking Bhayshul Tuten. Started his career at North Carolina A&T before transferring to Virginia Tech. And he has some pretty respectable college production under his belt. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the production here, but I don't know which years off the top of my head were at North Carolina A&T and which ones were Virginia Tech. I want to say it's 2 years at Virginia Tech, 2 years A&T.
21 and 22 were A&T, 23 and 24 were VT.
Okay, so his last year at North Carolina A&T, he had 208 carries for almost 1,400 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. Picked up another 31 receptions for 342 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. So monster season, but again at North Carolina A&T. Then he transfers into a Power 4 school at Virginia Tech. Took 173 carries for 863 yards, 10 touchdowns in his first season at Virginia Tech, and built on that this last year with 183 carries for 1,159 rushing yards. That's good for 6.3 yards per carry, 15 rushing touchdowns, another 23 receptions and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So all in all, a lot of production in college. A lot of production. So we got a great combine. We got a great production profile. What does the film say? Does the film tell the same story? That's what we're here to tell you guys tonight. As always with the running back position, we start with vision and patience. And I'll throw it to you first, Rupert. What did you notice from Bhayshul Tuten with his vision and his patience?
I thought he was honestly just average in this area. Um, I thought he had a tendency to really bounce outside instead of waiting to kind of read his linemen. I feel like it was just like, wait a second, bail. Like, I'm bringing this outside because I'm way more athletic than you. I felt like he relied on that too much. I don't think that he, has quote unquote elite blindness at all. It's not that. I just feel like he had a tendency not to be patient behind his line, let things develop up the middle, and he would just like bounce it outside. So I grade him out at 6.5 for both vision and patience.
Did you have the same notes, Jackson, or did you see something different?
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of the same things. I mean, I graded him a little higher. I feel like I'm getting into this rut now where I'm trying not to be super strict on these guys as we have been on previous podcasts. Like I gave him a 7 for vision, 7.5 for patience. Like I thought he was good in this area. I never really saw him take the wrong holes. I thought he followed his blocks well. I thought he was really, and we're going to get to this when we talk about his like lateral agility, short area quickness. But I thought he set up defenders well at the second level, more than I was really expecting him to when I came into this tape watch. So I mean, I gave him passable grades, for this. I thought he did this well.
All right. Well, Jackson's in a generous mood this week.
I'm not trying to get the flack that I've caught the last 2 weeks, Cooper.
It was just 1 week, okay? I was gone for 1 week, and y'all roasted both of the guys that you talked about. And then I went back and watched them. I was like, they look great to me.
I would argue we didn't roast Golden. We gave him respectable scores.
You gave Golden like a 70, which is like flex option. You understand that this is a first-round wide receiver that people are taking in the first round of rookie drafts, and y'all graded him.
So what's happened with Tuten is you guys have given me PTSD, and I'm trying to be more generous.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, guys. If you're a listener and you were here in the haterade last week, just know I'm making these guys take another look. But continuing with Bhayshul Tuten, I mostly agree with Rupert. I think I gave him 7s, and I think 6.5 for those categories is fair. I was wondering if I was being a little too generous. I saw a lot of the same things. I thought he was too quick to bounce it outside, a little too reliant on his athleticism. Definitely saw him miss some holes that were there where he could have cut back to the inside, but he wanted to continue on to the edge and try to get that corner. It's not like he was just running into his line and praying and hoping for a hole. Like it wasn't that bad. I think more often than not, he hit the right hole. And when he did hit it, we're going to talk about that in a minute because the second level vision was really good. Yeah. I think the creativity once he got to the second level. But I agree with Rupert that at the first level where he's initially reading his leverage and his blocks, he had a little bit of a tendency to try to force it outside when it wasn't there. But not like like we talked about Jalen Wright last year, and we felt like, man, this guy has no vision. He's just praying for a hole and wants to run in a straight line. I don't think Tuten's that bad. I think he's got better vision than Jalen Wright had last year.
Yeah, not to bury the lead. Like one of my notes was like Tuten is like everything people wanted Jalen Wright to be last year. Yeah, just I think that's a good segue into his athleticism and elusiveness, which is his calling card here. I grade him at a 9 for game speed and burst, and I almost feel like I could have gone even higher there. It was just really like once he saw that hole open up, like when it did open up in the middle, like he was gone. Like the safety's not getting over there, no cornerback's getting over there. It was just phenomenal, and he's able to bounce so many runs outside because his acceleration's insane. His top end speed just keeps on going. Like he doesn't get to his fifth gear for a while. He has like a sixth gear. I don't think I ever saw him get caught from behind. One of my notes was like he breaks off these long runs, and he's like halfway through the run. He still has like 30 yards. And he's already like gearing down. Like you see him like pull up, and he's like the guys still aren't getting close to him. It was just absolutely phenomenal. What did you guys think?
No, like I saw that too. He has the speed that like consistently defeats angles, right?
Yeah.
Like we're like safeties and cornerbacks think that they have an angle on him, and then he's got that sixth gear that you're talking about to just run away from people. Like I kind of graded him, a lot in the same way. I gave him a see if I can find it, an 8.5 for game speed, 8.5 for bursting acceleration. Honestly, like that could have been a 9. I thought he did really well in this area. We're going to talk about this later, but like what Cooper was alluding to, the second level vision and elusiveness, like he's not a power back. We're going to get to this later. He's an elusive back, and I think he makes his money in those quick jab steps, using that athleticism, using the burst and the explosion by popping off of 1 foot to really shake down defenders at the second and third level. Like he did this consistently on film. So, I mean, it was one of those things where you don't hear much about this guy, and then he blows up at the combine, and you go, okay, do those combine numbers match what the tape says? And I would say absolutely they do. And honestly, like he looks like he's running faster on film than a 4.32. Like he looks even more explosive on film, and I think that's what makes him such a juicy prospect.
Yeah, for sure. If he looks like he runs faster than a 4.32 on film, then he might be more than an 8.5 for game speed. I'm just throwing that out there. I have him at a 9. We're gonna keep piling on Jackson with the PTSD here, but no,
you guys are gonna cause me to get therapy after this podcast is over with.
We're splitting hairs here. You've got him at an 8.5. I've got him at a 9. I have him at 8.5 for burst, an 8.5 for quickness, and I've got him at an 8 for elusiveness. So. Excuse me. I mean, this was you talk about this is what people wanted Jalen Wright to be last year. One of the knocks that we had on Jalen Wright, and people told us we were nitpicking, but once he got up to speed, he just really had no wiggle because it was such straight north-south speed, and once he got rolling downhill, he was just a little bit out of control of his footwork, and he'd almost fall down trying to make cuts. That's not the case with Bhayshul Tuten. Like I was very surprised and impressed that he would get up to full speed, like in the blink of an eye. He's moving fast, and there's a linebacker trying to meet him in the hole, and all of a sudden, like, boom, he sidestepped him, and the guy didn't even get a finger on him. And you're like, did he just teleport? Like, how did he cut that drastically without slowing down? And it's kind of mind-blowing how he can change direction at full speed like that without losing his momentum. So that was really impressive. The reason I have him at an 8 and not higher is, again, I didn't feel like there was this wide variety of moves. When I think about like Travis Etienne or Trevor Etienne, who we talked about, rather, I got the names mixed up. Trevor is who I'm talking about here. Trevor's footwork was so unbelievable, whether it was a spin, a jump cut, a dead leg. I mean, he had every move in the book. He was making people miss in the backfield when they had come in untouched and he had no momentum. He was also making people miss at the second level. I felt like Tuten, once he had that head of steam, he could really, like the way he could make those cuts at full speed was super impressive. But he wasn't as elusive, like behind the line of scrimmage, some of those like slow burn type of moves that are more crafty than explosive. That's where I felt like he didn't have as much of that like crafty elusiveness to his game. But man, he was electric, just lightning with those cuts. And I think about like Isaac Garendo last year. He had this amazing combine, explosive, fast, 40-yard dash, the whole thing. And then I went to go watch the film, and I was like, yeah, I mean, when he's wide open, he can run really fast in a straight line, but I don't see a lot of functional athleticism here for a running back. That's not the case with Tuten. As soon as I turn on the tape, almost every snap, that athleticism popped off the tape. He's super like game athleticism, not just underwear Olympics athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. To your point, Cooper, that's like I grade him at a 7.5 for elusiveness for the exact same reason. But I thought he was, he had that like really good, quick and tight spaces like in the hole with the linebackers. Like one of the notes that I also had for Trevor Etienne was like his ability to like do those jump cuts away from the linebacker, but you're not getting too close to the safety. Like he also had that kind of weird innate understanding of like eluding this guy, but not by so much that you're going into the next defender. And then he used that burst to explode, and that safety no longer has an ankle either. So, so much fun to watch.
I gave him a
definitely
7.5
fun.
for elusiveness as well, so you guys can both suck it.
I was at an 8. I'm just saying. No. We're going to take a quick break. In a second, we're going to get to his power and contact balance and third down skill set. But before we do, we've got to let you know about our website, CouchScouts.com. And really not just the website, but the rookie guide. Okay, the rookie guide, I would say, is kind of the crowning jewel of our website. Like, we've got a lot of great member perks behind the paywall. We're doing everything we can to add value for you guys. We got an all 22 film room. We got all kinds of stuff. But I think the best thing that we do is this rookie guide. We get into the film room. We grind tons and tons, like so many hours of tape from December all the way to April. We're nonstop grinding the tape till we get through 70 plus prospects, giving you in-depth film breakdowns on each one, going trait by trait, strengths, weaknesses. We give film grades. We give rankings. I mean, all of it. It's the ultimate cheat sheet to your rookie draft. But this year, a new addition. Last year, we released the rookie guide like the week of the NFL draft, and then we did a little post-draft update. But what if you're drafting before April? I'm actually in a rookie draft right now, and some people have leagues like that. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I don't love it. I prefer having the draft capital and the landing spots, but that is the case for some people. So we're doing a volume 1. Of course, we haven't gotten to everybody that we want to get to. We're thorough. We take our time. But we've got over 30 prospects done already. And so we're like, let's release that. Let's release what we've got so far for the people so that they've got at least something to tide them over until April. So volume 1 of that rookie guide is going to drop this Friday. If you're listening to the podcast, obviously, the day after it's released, it comes out this week. If you're listening, if you say you're coming back listening a couple weeks from now, it might already be out. Friday, March 7th is our release date for volume 1 of this rookie guide. It's going to cover over 30 prospects. And because we're so excited about the release of this, and we believe you're going to love it so much that we want to get you in there to give it a try, we're offering a discount. So right now, if you sign up and use the promo code RGV1, so that's short for Rookie Guide Volume 1, RGV1, you're going to get 40% off. That's for annual subscriptions. So we would love for you to give us a 1 year, let us prove ourselves, earn your dollars. But for the first year, you're going to get 40% off, which I think is an absolute steal. So already, like, our normal price is our packages go as low as $5 a month. When you sign up for an annual, you're already getting 15% off anyway, just for signing up for an annual. And now you're getting an extra 40% off that with the promo code RGV1. That's only available to the first 50 people that use the code. So get on it quick. RGV1, CouchScouts.com. Get in there. We can't wait to chop it up with you guys. So
it's also important to say, I want to add this too, that this is version 1, right? So that means that everything that we write in there is subject to change when we see landing spots, when we see draft capital, like that. All that stuff matters. So
when we watch guys for the second time.
we watch guys for the second time. And
Yeah, so when you get in there and you see Matthew Golden, just know that like my grade's pulling that up. All right, I'm pulling up the average, and I'm making them go back and take a second look because I'm like, guys, he's good. So anyway, that their grades might change between now and April. We lock in our film grades before the NFL draft. We're not we're not trying to cheat and make ourselves look right after the fact. But until the NFL draft, everything's fair game for us to go back, research more, do some tweaks. So there may be some guys when the volume 2 comes out in April that are a little higher, a little lower. I don't think it'll be anything super drastic, but yeah, good point there, Jackson. It's all still kind of a work in progress, but we wanted to get you guys, we wanted to get something in your hands, and I think you guys are going to be really excited about it. So definitely jump in there with us, and yeah, let's get back to Bhayshul Tuten. Let's get into the power and contact balance. And Jackson, you said earlier that he's not a power back, which I agree with, but there's levels to it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all the way from like he has no power, he's terrible, a stiff breeze will blow him over, all the way up to
he's
you know,
Omarion Hampton.
he's fantastic. He's Omarion Hampton, right? So yes, his archetype is probably more of an elusive back. He's 5'9", 206, so he's not the biggest guy in the world. Does he have at least a little bit of power element to his game? I'll start with you, Rupert. What did you notice here?
I actually was really surprised here because I was expecting absolutely zero power element to his game. And granted, he converts his speed to power, right? But not every fast elusive back can do that, and I thought he could. Actually, I gave him a 6.5 for power and physicality. I gave him a 7 for pad level. I thought his contact balance was pretty good, and I gave him 7.5 there. And I gave him a 7.5 for breaking tackles. And I feel like this is highlighted, but one of my favorite plays that I watched of him, I think it was, if I remember correctly, is against Miami. He meets a middle linebacker in the hole, puts his shoulder right into him, knocks him over, accelerates, gets into the end zone. It was just pretty much showed like the whole package. Yeah,
he ran right through him. That was a beautiful play.
Yeah, and it wasn't a small linebacker either. It was, you could tell he was much bigger than
he put that dude on his behind. It was a thing of beauty. I was like, okay. So Jackson, what do you think, man? Is that just one play, or did you see some consistent power to his game?
No, I'll agree with Rupert where I came in, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? For somebody of his archetype, like we've already mentioned, right, that he's 206 pounds, so you don't expect him to have much power. I gave him a 6.5 for his power and physicality. I thought he was a little above average in this category. I saw some of the same plays you guys saw where he wasn't doing it consistently all the time, but he would show glimpses of, yes, his speed generates power, and he was able to break some tackles. What I really loved, and Rupert alluded to this, was his contact balance. I thought when guys got a hand on his leg or he juked, the second and third level, I thought he kept his balance really, really well. So that was an area that I really enjoyed watching him in. We're going to, I guess we can get to this now. One thing that I did notice from him, and I don't know if this was like a covering the ball issue. I don't know if it was a power or pad level issue, but he fumbles the ball a lot. And that was an area that concerns me a little bit. And when you get to the next level, like, is that coachable? 100% that's a coachable thing, but it was something that I saw on tape enough for me to go, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. So, I'm with you guys. I had him also at a 6.5 for power. So I think all three of us had the same grade there. Let me just give a little bit of context. So looking at grades for some of the other like elusive smaller backs in this class, ETN, I had a 5 for power. Dylan Sampson, I had a 5. Woody Marks, I had a 5. RJ Harvey, I had a 4. So 6.5 for a smaller back like that, like that's a good grade for him. And I had 7 for pad level, 7.5 for contact balance, 7 for breaking tackles. So yeah, I saw a lot of the same things you guys did. Definitely, like if he's a little bit light in the pants, So if a guy gets through untouched in the backfield and gets hands on him, he's probably going down. If he doesn't have that momentum built up to kind of ram into the guy and do speed to power, like you said, Rupert, there's not a lot of like leg drive or pushing the pile. Like that's not who he is. But definitely when he gets that head of steam, he's willing to drop those pads and pop somebody, which is fun and effective. And the contact balance, same as you guys said, like not as much like trucking people or, you know, running people over, but just that elusiveness to turn it into a glancing blow and then keep his feet, not fall down, keep running. He did that a lot. So 7.5 is a strong grade there, especially for a lighter player. So overall, like decent power element to his game to go with crazy athleticism, elusiveness. Like he's got every tool that he needs in his toolbox to be a guy that creates a ton of explosive runs for an NFL offense. I think, you know, if he gets a chance and he gets some touches, he's an explosive play waiting to happen. It's all over his college film, and I think he's definitely got what it takes for that to translate to the NFL. So we like him as a runner of the football. I also noticed the same fumbling issue, by the way. I feel like it was mostly when he got to the second level and he was a little bit aggressive trying to get those extra yards and maybe was a little bit loose holding the ball out to the side and it would get popped out. So he definitely needs to clean that up. But overall, aside from the fumbling issue and maybe not the best vision and patience in the world, there's a lot to work with there for him as a runner between the tackles and especially on the edge. How about the third down skill set? What did you guys see? I mean, that's so important for fantasy these days, especially for a smaller back. I feel like if you're going to get on the field, that's the easiest role for a smaller back to earn is kind of those third down duties. So what did you guys see from Bhayshul Tuten here?
Yeah, no, I really like this area from him. I know looking at y'all's grades, I'm a little higher than y'all are on his pass protection and on his receiving. Toot to you too. B. I'm a little higher on that than you guys are, but I really liked it. One of the things that I want to talk about is his pass blocking, right? I feel like for the just shy of 210 pounds, right? Like he's a smaller back. So many times, guys, I saw him like there was a linebacker or a defensive tackle or somebody sneaking through the middle of the field, and Tootin stood him up. Like, I mean, popped him and stood him up in the backfield to protect his quarterback. Like, for somebody of his size, I didn't expect to see that. And like I saw that multiple times. I also thought like he looked really well as a pass catcher. I mean, I saw a one-handed catch or two. On his film when I was watching it. He looked comfortable catching the ball. Once he got it in the open field, like he utilized that speed, I thought that athleticism he has well. So I think that he's going to be a guy that, yes, we're getting to an NFL where, it's by committee. That's the realm that we're in right now. And with as many running backs that are good this year, there's going to be committees all over the place. But I really like him on third down, especially when it comes as a pass blocker. Like I was not expecting to see that.
Yeah, I also graded him at a 7 for both. I saw the same thing. He was like super willing to get in there and pass protect. He didn't look lost. He didn't, completely miss assignments, anything like that. Just due to his size, I felt like he was like he'd, get in there. He might get pushed around a little bit, but he still is buying his quarterback some time and ability to escape. And in receiving, like I feel like he can be a weapon. I didn't think he looked supernatural catching the ball. It kind of looked like he was, fighting it a little bit. Like sometimes I'd be like holding my breath. I'm like, oh, is he bringing that in? But to his credit, like I didn't see a lot of drops either. So I think especially with his speed, like vertically, like he's just going to be a nightmare, like running up the seam from the backfield or running on wheel routes. Like there's one play where a linebacker was trying to get to the outside and he was running a wheel route, and you could just see the desperation on the linebacker, like just trying to get to the sideline and keep up with them, and there's just no chance. So I think in that way he can really put some stress on a defense.
Yeah, there was one play in particular. There's actually two back-to-back plays. So this is the first game I watched. There was one play where he absolutely stonewalled a guy in pass pro in the red zone. And then the very next play, there's kind of a scramble drill with his quarterback. And Tuten, I don't think this was a designed wheel route. He just realized, oh, my quarterback's scrambling. I've got a linebacker guarding me. I can just run right past him. And so he did use that speed and acceleration to just blow right by the linebacker like he wasn't even there. And the quarterback in the scramble drill just kind of lofts it up over the linebacker's head, and he catches a touchdown. Wasn't used a ton in the receiving department this year. I think this is where context helps. So when you look at the full production profile this year, he had 81 yards receiving. That's not a lot, right? But every other year of his career, he had over 200 yards receiving. So it kind of seems like an outlier. Like as a total production profile, he caught well over, it looks like 80, 90 receptions. I'm doing some quick math in my head, but quite a few receptions in his college production career. So he definitely is capable in that department. I didn't feel like he was out running a lot of routes. It was mostly the dump down stuff, but he did seem to have solid hands. He's very dangerous after the catch. And then, like you guys said, the pass pro was very serviceable, I think, particularly for a smaller back. So again, context, if I pull up his pass protection grade at a 7 for me, Jackson, you had him at an 8. Rupert and I both had him at a 7. But again, compare that to some of the other smaller backs in this class. Dylan Sampson, 3 for pass protection. Woody Marks, 3 for pass protection. Trevor Etienne, 5 for pass protection. So again, a 7 is a really respectable grade here. So yeah, he's a well-rounded player. I think my main concern is he's a little undersized and he's got the fumbling issue. But overall, I mean, there is a ton to work with this player. What were y'all's final grades that came out for Tuten?
Yeah, so my final grade, I had him at a 74.85. And if I raise up the speed that you guys were talking about earlier, he hit 75. So yeah, lots to work with there.
Yeah, I'm at 74.35. And I think the only reason it's that low is because of we value the vision and patience pretty heavily with the running back. So since my score was a little bit lower there than some of the other running backs, if that was up a little bit higher, I feel like he'd be in that Trevor Etienne kind of category at 77 range.
Well, what's really interesting, we talked about this in our text group chat today. I mean, now we've got, I'm just going to do quick count right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12 backs that are above a 70 grade for us. It does concern me a little bit, how much opportunity is there really, right? I mean, this is a loaded running back class. It's got depth for days. But I mean, is there that many spots in the NFL? That worries me a little bit.
Yeah, that's where it's for me, I'm in this rookie draft right now, going blind. I don't know draft capital. I don't know landing spots. And I'm there's so many running backs on the board in the middle of the second round that I love their tape. And I'm so scared that I'm going to take them and the draft is going to murder their value. But Tuten is just another one of those backs in this class. Y'all said your grades. Mine's a 75.33. So I've got him graded as a fantasy starter. Our composite, when you put the three of us together, is, let me find it. Bhayshul Tuten, where did you go on the composite sheet? 74.84. So that's a really good grade. For me, he slots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as my RB6 in tape grade, right behind Travion Henderson. So Yeah, I'm pretty high on this guy. I think, hopefully the combine gives him that little bit of draft boost that helps him get the day 2 capital and get a decent chance at some opportunity, because I think he can really produce for fantasy if he gets it.
For sure.
Brian says, I agree with y'all. Ball security is an issue and not flawless behind the line of scrimmage, but enough there for some fantasy juice and at probably a good price. Reminds me of a discount Kenneth Walker. I like that comp. Yeah. Do y'all have any comps that come to mind for Bhayshul Tuten?
It's against my fantasy football morals to make comps because I always butcher it. So I try really hard not to make comps. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm cool with Kenneth Walker though. I think that's a great comp. I'm gonna let other people do it.
Yeah, I would say an actually really good Jalen Wright. I'm not saying he's going to be Devon Achane, but his play style and archetype is very similar to me.
Yeah.
Smaller back, crazy long speed, can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. Pretty elusive, and yeah.
Achane's probably a better receiver, but I was thinking the same thing stylistically, like with that home run speed. So Bhayshul Tuten, we like him. The combine hype is justified. Everything that he did at the combine, he did on film, which you love to see. So, I think let's end by just shouting out the Discord. If you don't know, we have a free Discord, no strings attached. We just want to get to know the people that listen to our show. So it's a great growing community, over 200 people in that Discord. Reacting to trades, news, on the clock decisions, all kinds of great stuff. So definitely get in there. The link will be in our show notes. You can find me at CouchScoutsFF on Twitter/X. You can find Mr. Rupert at Matthew Rupert FF. You can find Matt Jackson at Devi Matt. And you can find us on basically every podcast platform that's out there. And if you like what you're hearing and you want other people to find it, which we would love for other people to find it. So do us a favor, leave us a 5-star review. That really helps more than you guys know. Doesn't take too long to do. So thank you very much for listening, and we